Right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. So today
Sir.
we take a look at this topic. It's one of the shortest topics in the model post packet. So we should be able to finish that in the next few minutes. Yes. So inductive arguments. What is an inductive argument? It is an argument which is based on experience. Life is full of experiences. Every day we experience certain things. The experiences we make, we draw conclusions based on them. These conclusions can be true or can be false. So if you observe a certain pattern, observe a certain behavior of somebody, on the basis of that, you predict or you make a certain conclusion about that person. That is an inductive argument. It is not based on pure rocket science. It is not based on arithmetic figures, but it is based on your observation. And this observation can make you to predict. You can see the weather, and based on the signs you are seeing about the weather, you can make a prediction. You can see certain signs about power supply, and based on that, you make a prediction about human behavior and all that. That type of argument is called an inductive argument. Now, with an inductive argument, because it is based on experience, experiences are not always true. You can base on experiences and make conclusions, but the conclusion is not by all means true. It can be true, it can be false. And so your conclusion is based on probability. So what it means is that inductive arguments are probabilistic. The conclusion is not by all means the case that it will happen. It can happen or it may not happen. And an inductive argument, you can have a good inductive argument and a bad inductive argument, or a weak inductive argument and a strong inductive argument. If it is weak, it is a bad one. What makes it weak? It is weak if the evidence that is adduced to support the conclusion is insufficient. It's very scanty. That based on this scanty evidence, you cannot jump to this conclusion. Yes, the evidence is there, but it is not enough. And so it makes it a weak inductive argument. And then you can have a strong inductive argument. Now, a strong inductive argument is a good one. It is an argument that the evidence that is adduced to support the conclusion is sufficient. That based on this evidence, it warrants the conclusion. Any person that is confronted with this piece of evidence is more likely to draw this conclusion. Therefore, it is a strong inductive argument. The evidence is leading you to a likely conclusion. That makes it a good or strong one. Are we fine?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
maybe you have seen something about the power not being consistent. And then you say that it is enough to conclude that we are in Dumso. That is weak. The fact that the power is not consistent is not the case that we are in Dumso. There are challenges, but the evidence is too small to warrant the conclusion. But where there's ample evidence to support the view that we are in Dumso, then you are likely to conclude that we are in Dumso. And in that case, your argument is a strong one. Some of you might have experienced something maybe once or twice. On the basis of that, you just jump to a certain conclusion about that thing you have experienced. Maybe you have had a very terrible relationship with a lady called Sophia. I've had a friend like that who had a very terrible relationship with a certain lady. And there was a day we went to visit another friend, and he asked of the friends, our friend's wife's name. And then when she said, hey, that's a bad name. Why did he conclude like that? Because he had a very terrible experience in the hands of a lady by that name. But that is not enough to conclude that any lady by that name is a bad person. So inductive arguments apply to many things that we see around us. It applies to computer science. It applies to everything in life. Even in business, you're forecast to predict consumer behavior, to predict market trends, or you use a certain the market trends to be able to predict and say that this is what is likely to happen in the near future about the market. People look at market trends, people look at exchange rate, right? And then they predict that the exchange rate is going to fall in the future, or it is going to rise in the next few days. So we need inductive reasoning in all the things we do in life. Now let's look at the types of inductive reasoning. We have inductive reasoning by generalization. Inductive reasoning by generalization and inductive reasoning by instantiation. What is an inductive reasoning by generalization? It is a type of inductive reasoning by which an arguer or a person arguing observes certain particular situations, takes the evidence of those particular situations to draw a general conclusion about the population, the entire population of the issue or the object that is being investigated. So for example, I look at a fancy lady. I have dated a fancy lady. She likes money. I date another fancy lady. She likes money. And the evidence is there. I date the third one. She likes money. I date a fourth one. She likes money. I mean, there's this particular trend that I'm observing about the fancy ladies I've dated. On the basis of this, I jump to the general conclusion that all fancy ladies like money. That is an inductive reasoning by generalization. Observe particular instances, use the evidence about the instances to draw a general conclusion. We need this in our lives because we cannot study the entire population. If I want to know whether indeed fancy ladies like money, I can't study all fancy ladies. I can't date all fancy ladies. It is impossible. And so I must use a sample, test the sample, and then draw a general conclusion. When the Food and Drugs Board is testing samples or is testing a particular product, it is not testing all the products. It takes a sample of the product to test it. On the basis of the evidence about the sample of the product that is tested, it makes a general conclusion about the product. Because if I'm producing about 1,000 goods, FDA will not test all of them. It will test a sample. What evidence it gets about the sample, it uses that as a conclusion about the journal. Are we okay? Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so to make an inductive argument good or strong, or to analyze an inductive argument to determine how strong it is, how weak it is, look at the population. Look at the sample size. What is the sample size for this study? What is the size of the sample? Is the sample enough? As we said, we can't study the entire population. We pick a sample, but the sample must be representative, the size of it. Look at the size of the sample. Is it about a tenth? Yes, Vincent.
Sir, please go back small. You said to make the argument strong or low, you need to do what? My network is not that clear, so I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I said that an inductive argument can be a strong one or it can be a weak one. It is strong when the evidence is sufficient to support the conclusion. And it is weak when the evidence is insufficient to support the conclusion. Are you fine now?
Yes, please.
So you have to look, that's why we are looking at the sample size here to look at whether the evidence is sufficient or insufficient to support the conclusion the general conclusion that you make. So you look at the sample size. If the sample size is big enough, then it can support your conclusion. Now, those who conduct surveys do this on a daily basis, or they do this when they are conducting surveys. They take about 10% of the population, the voting population, to conduct a survey. And then, on the basis of that, they predict that about this percent of people are going to vote for this. Of course, it falls under inductive argument by generalization. It also falls under enumerative inductive argument. So you look at the sample size. Is it big enough? So you are saying that Fanti ladies like money. The people you have used to study to draw this conclusion, is it representative of the Fantis? Are you picking your sample from the various Fanti towns or from Fantis scattered all over the country? Pick samples from each community and then you draw a conclusion. Yes, there's a hand. Adams.
Yeah, hello, sir. So I wanted to find out that can we put census under inductive argument as well?
Yes, census is inductive. Because the census, we are not counting everyone. They just come to the house. Oh, how many people are you? And then they predict. I have never met them since I was born. I've never met them, had an interaction one-on-one with them, or they came to the house and I was there.
Okay.
But based on the data that they have, they make predictions. So you can look at the market trend what they conduct, this inflation and all that, it's inductive argument by generalization. They pick samples to put into the basket. And then the way they look at the price changes over the period that they are looking at. And then they make a prediction. So look, the sample size is important. If it is small, then the evidence will not support the conclusion. But if it is big enough, then the evidence will support the conclusion. It all depends on what is being looked at. From 1% to 10% is enough to represent the population. But some go for as low as 0.5% as being enough to represent the population. And then the character of the sample is also important. Yes, the sample is big, but it may be big for nothing if it is not representative. For example, if you want to pick a sample about the voting pattern or how people will vote in 2028, and you pick your sample from Ashanti region, it is not representing the entire country. So it is one-sided. If you pick from the voter region to use to predict how Ghanaians will vote in 2028 and determine which political party will win, it is one-sided. It is not representative. So if it is representative, it scatters all over the country. Pick your sample size from all the constituencies in the country. And you determine a ratio. The bigger the constituency, the bigger the number of people you use for the sample. The smaller the constituency, the smaller the number of people you use. So they are drawing from different constituencies based on the size of the constituencies. Put all of them together into one basket, analyze to be able to predict. So in that case, the character of the sample is good. It is representative. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. Then you have inductive argument by instantiation. It is the opposite of inductive argument by generalization. Usually in instances, especially instances where there are stereotypes, perceptions about people. Here, an arguer uses a certain mindset, a certain belief or perception about a particular population. On the basis of that, draws a conclusion about the individuals within the population. So there's a perception that the Achims are what? They are litigants. There's a general perception in Ghana that Achims are litigants.
Yes, they are prepared.
Right? So that's
yes. They like
so
arguments.
That's a general perception.
Yes,
so that
prepared.
if I see you, I ask you, oh, what ethnic group do you belong to? I think, oh, then you're a litigant. Right? So based on the general perception, I draw a conclusion about an individual who falls within that. There's a general perception that Northerners are warlike or they like fighting. That's the general perception in Ghana. And so
Yes,
you meet me, ask me, oh, which region are you from? Oh, I'm from northern region. Hey, then you are also warlike. Then you say, oh, then you may also like fighting. That is an inductive. Some people say Asantes are braggarts. They like bragging too much. And so, based on that perception, I say, oh, Bernard or Alfred, Ahoma, what ethnic group do you belong to? Oh, I am Asante. Oh, and then you are also a braggart.
Say they say we are rich, but I don't have paracetamol.
You don't have money.
I don't have paracetamol.
Yes. So
that's
why that is an inductive argument by inductive argument. The point is that the conclusion can be true or can be false. It is based on probability. Your conclusion is based on probability. So I've looked at the general pattern, the general understanding or viewpoint about a certain group of people or about a certain object and draw a particular conclusion. Sometimes you may say, oh, you work in this organization, then organization is corrupt. You say, oh, this organization, everyone knows that they are engaged in illegal, this, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, oh, you work there. Oh, then you are also doing legal things and all that. It may be true, it may be false.
Police officers.
Hey, aha. Police for more. Hey. They say that. They say the police like bribery.
It's not true.
You know, they are corrupt. So
it's true.
The perception is that the police are corrupt. They like taking small money.
Yes,
the study in Ghana, surveys have shown that the corruption index in Ghana, they've shown that at the top, the police are most of the time there. So I see somebody who is a policeman, I see you say, hey, they also just got from especially this that's inductive argument by such. It may be true, it may be false.
It's just a token.
All right. What if I bet your wife? Then we have analogical inductive argument, legal and moral. Now, analogy is to compare, to look at similarities. In life, we compare things to be able to draw a conclusion. You can compare evidence. The police can look at this case and that case, compare the evidence and draw a conclusion. So when we are comparing, we are looking for similarities and differences. The items you are using to compare to each other, the objects, the entities you are using to compare to each other are called analogs. Don't know whether, okay, they are called analogs. This is analogs. The objects you are using to compare to each other are the analogs. Now, the analogs, you have two types, primary analogs and secondary analogs. What is a primary analog? It is the original item, the first item which serves as a basis for you to compare. So I know Edward Boyson. I know all the features of him. Then later I come to see Emmanuel Tete. Then I see that Emmanuel Tete has certain features with Edward Boyson. I am now using Emmanuel Tete to compare Edward Boyson. Edward Boyson is my primary analog, the original object, entity. And then the secondary analog is the object which is being used to compare with the other. So if I have Eric Arnault and Boyson, I know Boyson first. So Boyson becomes my primary analog. Later I get to know Eric Arnault, and I'm using Eric Arnault to compare with Boyson. Eric Arnault will now become my secondary analog. So for there to be a comparison, you will need these two, a primary analog and a secondary analog. Now, when you are comparing, there are certain things that will make your comparison to be good. One is the principle of the relevance of the similarity. Is the principle of the relevance of the similarity. the issue that is the common one between them? Is it that issue that defines the identity of that issue? So if you are looking at two objects, maybe I'm looking at a car which is less in fuel consumption. It doesn't take a lot of fuel. And I'm looking at the engine capacity. Engine capacity is relevant to fuel consumption of a car. A car's fuel consumption, engine capacity is relevant. And so if I compare them by looking at the engine capacity, then that element of comparison is relevant to fuel consumption. But if I am looking at the beauty of the car is not relevant to fuel consumption. And therefore, if I base my conclusion on the beauty of the car to conclude that it is not, it is fuel or it is economical in fuel consumption, then my comparison will be wrong. So all the time, what is being used for the comparison should be relevant to the conclusion. If it is not relevant to the conclusion, then it is not a good thing to use to compare. And then the number of similarities is also very important. One similarity may not be that strong enough to warrant a certain conclusion. So you need more similarities. The more the similarities, the stronger your conclusion, or the more appealing your conclusion is. The fewer the similarities, the less appealing the conclusion will be. So if I compare two things and I'm seeing a lot of similarities, this is similar to this, similar to this, and it moves in that pattern, then I can conclude on one particular issue about it. I can say that these two things are the same or they are similar. But if it is only one similarity, for example, and then on that basis of that one similarity, say they are the same, it may not be strong. And then the number of dissimilarities. If the similarities are called disanalogies. If the differences are more, especially more than the similarities, it is unlikely that your conclusion is going to be strong. So for example, you are looking at two people. The similarities are very few, but there are a lot of differences between them. And then, though you don't know their parents, and then you conclude that they have the same parentage. You can look at the physical appearance, but beyond that, you can even have a number of laboratory tests to prove the genotype and all that. And yet, even though they are different, you conclude that they are they have the same parents. It may be true, it may be false, but the likelihood that it will be false is higher. So we talked about the primary analog. So the primary analog, we said the number of was that the main object that serves as a basis for you to compare. Now, sometimes you don't need only one primary analog. You need a number of them. You need a number of them, not one. So maybe I know Edward Boyson. That's my primary analog. I know Ericano, also my primary analog. I know Nicholas Kwame, also my primary analog. So I have 3 primary analogs, and they look similar. And so when I come to see another person who looks similar, I use that person to compare as Edward Boyson, to compare with Ericano, to compare with Nicholas, and I see the person having similar features with them. Then I conclude. So sometimes you don't need only one object as your primary analog. You need many primary analogs, and that will help you to be able to make a good comparison. And then the primary analog we're talking about, sometimes you need diversity, not from one place. So maybe I'm looking at the voting pattern, and I pick some few people from Takrady, I pick from Kumasi, I pick from Accra, I pick from whatever. So yeah, they are not within one place, they are scattered all over. That is a diversity. And they are scattered over, and I'm getting the same thing about them. So when I now pick something from maybe Lubo to compare with the 5 or so scattered over the country that I have picked, and I'm looking at the similarities. If it is similar with all the diverse ones I picked from the various parts of the country, then that makes it a very good analogical inductive argument. Are we fine? Now, with inductive argument, another feature you must look at is how the conclusion is made. The conclusion should not be specific. If the conclusion is specific, then the argument is likely to be false. But if the conclusion is not specific, then the argument is likely to be a good one. You see, the methodological department, for example, when they are making their conclusion, they say it is likely to rain between this place and this place, between the hours of this and this. They didn't just say it will rain by 2 p.m. When you say it will rain by 2 p.m., they are making a specific claim. But if you say it's likely to rain between this hours and this hours, if it falls within, then your conclusion is still correct. So when you are making a conclusion based on experience, especially when you are comparing, you don't make a specific conclusion. So you can make a conclusion that is open-ended or that falls within a certain framework. And that is how that will make it a strong one. Any question before we move on? Any question before we move on?
No, sir.
No, sir. All right. Now, I'm sure the police are into, some of you are into, how do you call it? Prosecution. Is anyone in that department? You don't prosecute. You will take the case to court. as a prosecutor representing the state. I'm watching the last phase of the football match. Now, legal inductive reasoning is the same as analogical inductive reasoning. Legal inductive reasoning will compare a fresh case to cases in law, to case law. You can't defend somebody in court without making reference of your defense to case law. You can't prosecute someone in court without making reference to case law. So they have been accused of stealing. And the evidence is provided by the prosecutor. My lawyer takes the evidence, looks at the evidence, and then will now begin to punch holes into the evidence by saying this versus this. When it was alleged that this person stole, this was the case, and these were the facts. They are similar to the facts here that I'm dealing with. And the facts in that case, which I'm referring to, they are weak. They did not constitute stealing. And it is the same with my client. Now look, the facts here do not constitute stealing. So all the time, the lawyers don't just make raw arguments. They make their argument, they pick a certain pillar of an argument, or they use the case law as the pillar of the argument. Whatever information they have, they tie it to the case law. Tie it to the case law to be able to make a good argument. When they are quoting this versus this, what it means is that they are comparing what has already been decided, or they are comparing what is current now with what has already been decided in law to be able to prove their case. It's like being a pastor. You just preach and preach raw. Biblical quotations serve as your framework that you use to back your preaching. So when you make a certain blah, 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 and all that, then you back your preaching that in this 1 Peter verse this, 1 Peter 1 verse this, then you use that to back. That is what is done in legal reasoning. Using case law to compare with existing or current situation to be able to build a good argument in law. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's why when you have your case, the lawyer will tell you, tell me everything. Tell me everything. Because the lawyer needs to know everything about it and prepare so that if the other side confront you,
300 liters,
confront you with the evidence or with something like that, he knows how to build the case to counter it. And it's not that being the case and saying, raw, he did not say blah, blah, and all that. When he says all this, he's going to quote something in case law to back it. So from now going, if you have a case with a lawyer, please don't hide certain facts. They need them. It will help them to build the case. It is not the case that they are going to tell reveal your secret
Our
to the other party or something like that. But it helps them to be able to build a case for you by making reference to case law. Baba. And then moral reasoning is the same as analytical reasoning. So if I say Baba Muhammad is a bad boy, I am making analogical reasoning to draw a moral conclusion. For me to be able to say Baba Muhammad is a bad boy, it means I have a certain standard within me about what constitutes a bad person. That standard is there in me, within me. And so I am using Baba to compare with that standard to be able to draw a conclusion. So when somebody tells you you are a womanizer, please don't just accept the conclusion. The person is comparing you to his or her understanding of what constitutes womanizing. And we have differences in the way we see things. You can see somebody, you say he's a womanizer. Another person will see you say he's not a womanizer. There's no universal standard to measure morality. I'm sure Doreen has taught you moral and ethics. There's no universal standard to measure morality. Of course, we have different theories. The utilitarian theory, the Kantian theory, and all that. But there's no universal standard. Not one standard is accepted as the basis of measuring morality. I can measure you based on my Christian standards. Baba Muhammad can measure you based on his Islamic standards. Islamic standards are no universal standards. Christian standards are not universal standards. Not everybody subscribes to them. And so when you say you make a moral conclusion about somebody, a moral claim about somebody, you are comparing that person to a certain standard, subjective standard of yours. It can be your personal standard, it can be your religious standard, it can be your group political standard, whatever, that you are using to measure. Look, you can have somebody who seems to be a womanizer outwardly, but in reality, the person may not be a womanizer. You can see Alfred Ahuma and you think he's a womanizer. He looks like one, right? Because, I mean, Alfred will not stay with one girl throughout. After some few years, maximum 1 year, Alfred will break up with a girl and pick another one. So we are living in a community that Alfred also lives. And then you see that, within the past 2-3 years, Alfred has changed about 3-4 girlfriends. They say Alfred is a womanizer. It may be true, it may be false. Perhaps if you go deep into it, you will find that Isaac is compelled to change girlfriends because of the character of the ladies he has. Some of the ladies who pretend to be nice ones, as soon as they get into a relationship, they do different things. Or maybe, the lady will pretend that she doesn't have any boyfriend. She gets into a relationship with Alfred. Within some time, Alfred will realize that this lady is also is double dating. Alfred doesn't want that. He stops. He hooks up with another one, and then eventually he sees that maybe this lady's character is bad because the person at the beginning will hide the character. And then Isaac doesn't like it. She's disrespectful and all that. Isaac stops. Isaac takes a third one, and then this one is full of lies. This one is a nagging one. Isaac doesn't want that. Isaac stops. Takes another one. This one is very lazy. She won't cook all the time, go and buy food and all that. So when you are within the community, you find Isaac has been changing girlfriends. is a womanizer. But deep inside, it may not be the case. It may be that Isaac is compelled by the situations that he is confronted with to change the girlfriends. He can't stay like that. He needs one. Or you can see Isaac all the time in the company of ladies. They go to their house, they come all the time. So he's a womanizer. The fact that he's in the company of ladies does not necessarily make him a womanizer. So moral standards are not universal. They are not objective. We have different moral standards. And therefore, when somebody makes a moral claim about you, it is up to you to decide that, okay, you are like that. Or you will subject that person to interrogation. What's your standard? What's your basis? Because you are always changing girlfriends. Does that make me a womanizer? Well, it's up to you. So for me, if you make a conclusion about me, a moral conclusion about me, say it is your view. It is not about me. For me, I don't accept it. And then that is reasoning by authority. The police are here. When it comes to security matters, internal security matters, they are our authority. They can come with information about the strategies of miscreants, criminals, what they are doing to be able to extort money from people, to break into your e-cash and take it. How people are, the strategies people are using to trick others and maybe buy goods or claim to buy goods, blah, blah, and all that. They have all that. Because they have studied or they have, through their professional activities, they are able to pick information, to pick intel, study the intel, and be able to come to a certain conclusion and advise the general public. And so when you are making an argument based on what the authority has told you, so that if the police said this is the strategy that Momo, how do you call it, thieves or whatever, are using to steal from others, and then maybe Alfred is doing something which is almost the same as that, and then I say, oh, Alfred, you're a Momo fraudster, because this is exactly what the police have said is happening. So, or you are sick, and then the medical doctor tells you that, oh, take your medication or eat before you take alcohol before you this. And then so somebody says, oh, why are you taking alcohol? Well, it's based on the advice of the medical doctor. It is good for me. So your conclusion is based on what an authority has said. So what is inductive reasoning by authority? When you make an argument based on the evidence from an authority to draw a conclusion, based on the evidence drawn from an authority to be able to make a conclusion. That is an inductive argument by authority. So sometimes football players, the coach said we should play like this. So the way they are playing and how they play is based on what the authority has asked them to do. And therefore, when they argue that, yeah, we are doing well because our coach studies the same, blah, blah, and all that, and then he's able to give us all the signs of the intricacies of the game. That is an inductive argument by authority. Are we fine? Then we have inductive argument by sign. I'm sure there's always a sign language. Sign language anytime the news is cast, there's the sign language version of it. We look at certain signs, and life is full of signs. I'll be looking at you. You know, maybe there's a lady in the class. Anytime I come to class, I'll be looking at the lady, smiling at the lady. I mean, winking my eyes. Then the lady will say, Papa, we better open me. And this man is interested in me. The signs are there to you. I mean, the signs are there for you to see. It may be true, it may be false. The fact that when I see you, I look at you, I smile at you, I wink my eyes, does not necessarily mean that I am interested in you. But the signs can prove something. Where's the policeman? The policeman, your girlfriend, when she started engaging in how do you call it? Double relationship. Were there signs? You know, the police are good at studying people. You see, who is a bad guy in this class? Who is a criminal in this class? You see, sometimes some people, when they are approaching the police checkpoint, Kombe, are you a Bimoba? Kombe.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's a mistake.
What's your name?
Please, my name is Kombe Charles.
Kombe Charles. Kombe looks like a Bimoba name. Which part of Ghana are you from?
Mbowura region.
What region? Hey.
Yes, sir.
You know, some people, when they get to a checkpoint, as soon as they see the police, their how do you call it, disposition changes completely. They begin to act somehow. They begin to act uncomfortable. And police have, I mean, when you go through the training, they teach you a little bit of psychology. And so they look at it and say, this man is a suspect. We need to detain him, or we need to interrogate him further. Or maybe we need to search the car properly. They base on suspicion, and it is a science that they use as a basis to draw the conclusion or to regard you as a suspect. For them to be able to engage you further, investigate further, to come to a certain conclusion. It may be true, it may be false. It may be that some people just fear the police. Somebody from the village, sometimes they don't see the police like that. Some people just fear the police. When they see the police, they start shivering. And when they see the soldiers, climb for worse. I have lived with somebody like that. When they see the police, they start shivering. Hey, they were arrested. So, meanwhile, I have not done anything.
So was it a female?
Yes. And when there was a time for the police, I have to stop us, detain us for a long time. This lady was shivering. I said, they have not done anything. They are not carrying any contraband. So why would they be fearing that the police is your friend? So in life, we look at signs, like the way meteorological department looks at signs. It observes certain signs of a rain pattern and says that the signs are there. The cloud is moving from this place at this speed, and that by this time it will rain. It is a sign. When you go to the medical doctor, they use a sign. There's no medical doctor that will treat you without engaging you. And they'll ask you, when did this start? How do you feel? Do you feel like this? Do you feel like that? Do you feel like this? They're looking for the signs to be able to draw a certain narrow down the search, because they can't investigate every sickness. The signs help them to narrow down to say that it is likely to be this sickness or this sickness. Then they now conduct the laboratory test. So we need science to be able to make conclusions. The science may lead you to a certain conclusion. It may be true, it may be false. But where the signs are very strong, they will help you and you draw a conclusion. It is likely to be what? True. So are we fine with that? Inductive argument by authority, inductive argument by sign.
Yes, sir.
Everyone fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then enumerative. Enumerative, inductive. Were you those that had a problem with the current director of ICD?
Oh, no, sir. No. Are
you sure?
Yeah, we are distance learning students. I think it's from the regular students.
They said it was from the regular students.
I'm not sure. It's because most of my colleagues here
it is this year
know
or
about
last
the
year.
argument.
Maybe it will be last year, Prof. Maybe it was the last year group.
You see, students, of course, I understand the current generation of students, the Gen Z. I understand them perfectly. The Gen Z own the world. And they want to express themselves. They don't want to be looked down by others, no matter how old you are. Yes, that is a characteristic of the Gen Z. And so that's why anytime there's something that has to do with the masses undertaking a demonstration or engaging in something that is destructive and all that, the Gen Z don't care. In fact, when it happens that way, they don't even care about their lives. You get them into it. But the point is, when you come to the university, it is not every lecturer that will be nice to you. You might just get it. Now, some lecturer will be so nice. Others will be so difficult to deal with. It is part of your experience that in life, yes, even in life, you meet people, or some people are nice and all that. Sometimes you go to some offices, the way even some secretaries or even the security will talk to you, you will not like it. Solomon Nati.
Doug.
Yes.
Thank you very much with what you are just educating us on. You were saying something about lecturers behaving sometimes not normal to the students. I don't know, but if the university can consider, because they are dealing with human beings, so that they can have patience with some of the students, because they are coming from all different backgrounds, like you don't know or you have no knowledge about it. So if they can, factor those things, it will help.
We do, but you must just look at yourself in life. It is not everyone that will be so nice to you. It is not. It's the same way that when we set questions, some questions are difficult, others are easy to go. Would you say that, everyone should set easy questions? My questions are not friendly at all. Let me just say it for you to know.
Hey, please, we are pleading with you, though.
No, it has been the case. As for my question, I am very nice when I come to class, but my questions.
I've seen some of your past questions. It's quite scary.
Some of my colleagues are not nice when they come to class, but their questions are easy.
You
just have to accept the reality. It is the reality. Huh? Some police people are nice and say, oh, they are for them, which we give them small money. That's all. Because they are nice. And others, no matter how you try to convince them. And you are the same people. Me, I've worked in Lagos. And one thing I've realized is that even if you are nice with them in class and your questions are difficult, they don't care. And if you are not nice with them in class and your questions are easy, they don't care. So we have different human beings, and so you will see the questions. Some people that you think they are not nice, you see their questions. Their questions are too nice. You see some of us that you think we are nice. Our questions are not nice at all.
But sir, please, if your question is not nice, please read it. You care.
Please care for us.
Please, you are begging you care for.
No, that's how I said my questions. So
you care for.
So let me take Doreen as an example. Doreen, her questions are very nice, morals and ethics. Very, very nice. But you do something small in class, you'll be angry. Maybe she'll stop the lecture.
True.
She's not like me. Me, I will all laugh and joke and all that. We have different people. Anyway, let's move on. So when you talk about authority, inductive reasoning about authority, which I talked about. So an authority is somebody knowledgeable in a particular thing. If I tell you when you have, yes, Hakim, your hand is up. Hakim.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Your hand is up.
Yes, sir. Oh, my question is about the legal inductive reasoning. You were saying legal inductive reasoning is the same as something. I didn't get that part.
It's the same as analogical inductive reasoning.
Okay.
Legal inductive reasoning is comparing what is current now. A lawyer is dealing with your case. The lawyer is comparing your case with what is there in law.
Okay.
So the lawyer will be quoting this versus this to back any argument he's making about your case. When you quote, it means there's a similarity. That's why you are quoting to compare.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. So when I talked about and that
sir, can you drop one example again for us?
Okay.
Concerning the legal inductive reasoning.
So legal inductive reasoning. I have been accused of rape. Now I have been arraigned to court. Some of you will use the word arrange. It is not arraigned to court or arraigned before court. It's arraign. 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 So I am arraigned before court. And my case is read out. The prosecutor, provide the evidence. Witnesses are there. They are all blah, blah, blah. And then my lawyer takes up the case. And what constitutes rape? What are the circumstances? What is the intention? So my lawyer will look at all this. He will look at the intent behind it. He will look at the consequence of it. He will look at the act. He will look at the circumstantial element in it. And then whichever one he picks, he will say it and back it with a case that in this verse is this. The circumstance I am talking about here is similar to this. And then he takes the act. The act, is it consensual? That this person invited me to come home. The person asked me that we should make love. Deep in it, the person asked me to withdraw. In the process of trying to withdraw, because the withdrawal may not be that immediate, the process of trying to withdraw, I have reached orgasm. And naturally, when you reach orgasm, the speed of withdrawing,
you have no control,
will be the same as the speed of withdrawing when you are not
too much sugar. Too much sugar.
Right? So the person will look at the facts here and then go and look for something similar in case law and use that to back it. That is how lawyers do. That's how they make argument. That's how they argue. Are you fine now? So anytime, that's why they say this versus this, and then they state what was decided in this versus this, and use that to back their argument. This versus this, then they use that to back their argument. Or they'll say in jurisprudence or in common law, it is this, said that this, and then they use that to back their argument. All right,
Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, are you fine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
when an authority tells you something, and then you use what has been or what you have obtained from an authority, use that as a basis for your argument to draw a conclusion. You ask yourself, is the authority credible? So if you come to me and I tell you it's going to rain today because the clouds are this, and then you go to tell everyone, oh, it's going to rain today. And somebody tells you, what's your basis for your conclusion? Oh, yes, Dr. Mbowura says so, that it's going to rain. I am not credible in this instance. I have not done geography to be able to know that. I am not a Met specialist to be able to give this prediction. And so if you base on my evidence to draw a conclusion, it may be wrong because the authority is not credible. Or I tell you that when you are sick, when you have headache and you have this, take cocoa bitters, you'll be fine. I am not an authority. I'm not a physician. I'm not a medical doctor. So I am not, if you base on what I've said to go and do it, and then say, oh, you asked me to go and do it, that's why I did it. In this case, I am not the authority. So where you are picking evidence from somebody who is not a credible authority, on the basis of which you make a certain conclusion, it is likely to be wrong. Or it is more likely to be wrong. And then you look at consensus among the authorities. The authority is not one. All authorities are saying anytime you have malaria, this is what you should go through. So 1, 2, or all authorities, that is the procedure. So if one authority is to tell you, go and do this, then it falls within, because that is all what other authorities say is a procedure to cure malaria. But if it is the case that one medical doctor is saying this, you go to the next medical facility, then they say, oh, it is this. You go to the next medical facility, they say it is this. There's no consensus. I can use my case as an example. I think I told you in this class that I had a serious, I went through a major.
Yes.
Yes.
You said it.
No consensus. But if there were to be consensus at the time the signs were there, perhaps we would have been able to deal with it before it got to the tipping point. And then whatever that is said by the authority is based on context, and it should be relevant. If you pick it out of context to make a case, that is different. That may not be the case. You saw somebody, or the medical doctor advising somebody to take maybe weed to cure a particular disease. And then that is within the context. It's relevant within the context. And then you pick it. Oh, because the medical doctor advised somebody to take weed, then you, the normal person who is not even having that medical condition, you can also take weed. You have picked it out of context to apply. Or you picked it from the context to apply to certain situation which is out of context. So you have to measure all these elements to be able to get to determine whether what the authority has said, carries more weight or it does not carry more weight. So that when you are using it as a basis to draw a conclusion, you yourself will know that my conclusion is strong or it is weak. And then we are talking about transparency and methodology. The basis at which, the formula used by the authority to arrive at that conclusion should be clear to everyone. Everyone should be able to use, or people within that authority, within that field, should be able to use that method. At the same time, everything must be clarified. There are no hidden things about it. Any ordinary person can see that this is the situation and that it is not metaphysical. It is something purely based on physics, based on material things. And they should be able to make independent verification. At the same time, whatever the conclusion that has been made, or whatever information that has been given by the authority, people should be able to critically evaluate it. It is not shrouded in secrecy. And so any person who has certain talents, skills, should be able to evaluate it. Bias and conflict of interest. You have seen that some people have come out with predictions about elections. In fact, in 2020, 2024 elections, you saw a number of predictions, surveys, some predicting NPP will win, some predicting NDC will win, some predicting that there will be a second round. Now you ask yourself, the authorities who have come out with this, are they biased? Are they in favor of some political parties or the other? Have they been influenced by some political parties to come out with these conclusions? If you can determine this, and whatever they have said may be false. Some people belong to the political parties. Some people sometimes are given money by the political parties to conduct surveys. So anytime there's a survey, don't just jump to the conclusion that this is it. They are not saints. They belong to political parties. And surveys can affect elections. What people know is that the elite, the middle class, to the high class, they read a lot. They feed on information. And so when the surveys come and they predict that this political party is going to win all that, they know that people know that the surveys can influence undecided people, the undecided voters. Because sometimes, about 3 months or so to elections, some people have not decided. Or some people have decided that they will not vote. But the surveys may change their mind. Oh, if this political party is going to win, then let me just vote for them. That's why all the time there are surveys. Surveys can serve as a tool to influence undecided voters. I don't know whether you have heard about this allegation that the poster, what's the name of this poster? What's the name? Musa Dankwa. I don't know whether you heard about the allegations. Somebody came out to say that he's asked for $2 million.
Yes, yes,
to make polls.
that is Dr. Baumia 8.
Yeah, to make a
A
survey.
pool, yes.
Yes. So what they know is that if they conduct a poll and say that this person is going to win in this particular election, it will start, changing the minds of people. It can have a big impact. So surveys are always going to be there. And when there's a survey, all that we are trying to say is that when there's a survey, know that if it is not biased, ask yourself, who is this person? Is this person having certain interest in this political party or what? Is this person being influenced by certain things, material things to conduct this? Yeah, Solomon.
Yes, Doug, please, with what you are saying, and the survey, when they are conducting the survey, they employ people to go out.
Yes.
So out as a result of going out, they also pay them. So if Musa Dankwa of Global Info Analytics is requesting money, I don't think it was a bad request. Before I can conduct a research,
No, the part that is bad is when the person said that he's going to conduct the polls and project him as one going to win the elections. But there's one also from the NDC. Somebody said that he asked for $2 million dollars to project the current speaker, chief of staff, as the one leading the race for the NDC flag bearership. And you know why? Look, some of the delegates are gullible. Hey, if they see that, hey, what's the name? Julius Debra, Honorable Julius Debra, is now taking the lead, according to Musa Dankwa. And Musa Dankwa has a track record. According to Musa Dankwa, he's leading. Then let's all join the camp. It's better we join the camp of the winning team, so he can influence delegates. I am not saying that. For me, whoever comes out to say, "Oh, he's asked for money to do this," that's for me. That's childish. The person is going to conduct elections, fine, but if he has come to confide in you, I'm not saying it is true. Please don't quote me wrongly. I'm not saying it is true, but these are allegations. Sometimes politicians can say this because they want to paint your work black. But it is important for us to always look at who is behind the post and whether the person has certain interest, whether the person has been influenced by some key people to come out with this post. Look, even within the party, NDC, before the elections, will conduct their internal polls, and then it will tell them they are winning or they are not winning. It will tell them where they are strong, where they should work harder. The same thing applies to MPP. No political party will go into the elections without conducting internal polls. No. The big two political parties, they always do that.
That is true, it's true. That's how Mbowura knew he was losing before.
Yes, they always do it. But where, for example, they are losing and then they try to massage the figures
was over. Yeah, it's true.
Favor them and project it to the world for the world to see. You know, I mean, that when you look at the background of the poster, I know it is coming from MPP. And if you are likely to say it is biased. Of course, I will talk about track record and accuracy. Musa Dankwa has a track record. In fact, for the past few years, it's established a niche, a reputation for conducting credible polls. And most of his predictions are accurate. He can't get them 100%, but you find that the predictions are, because for him to have predicted, for example, NDC getting about 57 or 50 something percent, nobody took it between 55 to about 65 or something percent. Nobody believed that it is going to happen because it's never happened in Ghana, unless 92 when NDC won about since then has been very, very narrow. The gap has been very narrow. So where you are looking at somebody, an authority who has a track record, and then you are using evidence from him to form your argument is likely to be accurate. All right, then we have enumerative inductive reasoning. Now, here, it's more statistical. So sometimes when I teach enumerative, I don't teach statistical. The same, that's the difference. They are the same. For enumerative, the conclusions are put in statistical manner. Numbers are used to paint a picture of the conclusion. And it is done in the social sciences. So I study about 10 people in this class. And out of the 10, 7 of them are very good. They are likely to get A's. Then I say that 70%, now it is in figures, 70% of the class is likely to make A or A's.
So in critical thinking.
It's just an assumption. I am not saying
assuming.
thinking.
Oh, but sir, we receive
thinking,
it.
I
sir,
know.
I've
told your class you are about 100 and something plus. Where's the class?
Yes, 140 something.
So 10%.
Sir,
we are 153.
So 10% will make. So out of 153, I take about let's say 30 students or maybe 40 students. That's about 40 divided by 160 times 100 will give me about 25%, right? Or something like that, or more than that. 25%. So, what is that? So, with this 25%, out of the 25%, and then you get about, so if I take it and out of 40, you have about 10 getting A's, right? So I take 10 over 40 times 100. that will give me how much? 40%. Eh? So 40%. Then I predict that 4 divided by 25, yeah, 40, 25%. 25%. So I predict and say that 25% of the students will make an A. That is enumerative inductive reasoning. The conclusion is expressed in statistical data. So for enumeration, you can start from a bigger picture and come to a smaller picture. You can start from a smaller picture and come to a bigger picture. So in the example I've given, I started from a smaller picture, looking at something small, and then make a prediction based on the general picture, expressing my conclusion in statistical figures. I can also start from the bigger picture. The 90% of students don't get A in critical thinking. Then when I pick you, then I say that you are among the 10% of students that can make an A, or you are among the 90% of students that will not make an A. So I can move from a general to particular. I can move from particular to general. And these are examples there for you. The rest, I'm not sure whether. So once we have done enumerative is more or less the same as statistical inductive reasoning, but it is repeated here for the sake of the course bucket. So for those that who want statistical or enumerative, but with this, what the only difference here is that with the statistical, which is strictly statistical, it is figures, especially the way you find it in statistical surveys. You know, you look at what how do you call it? Ghana Statistical Service provides on inflation. It provides statistics and will draw a conclusion. It provides figures entirely and use the figures to draw a conclusion. And the conclusion that is drawn is also in figures. That's the only aspect that that makes statistical inductive reasoning different from enumerative. So when you are thinking about statistical as an inductive reasoning, it is purely figures which are provided. And then based on the analysis of the figures, a conclusion is made. And the conclusion is also expressed in figures. Are we fine?
And then, sir, please add another example on the enumeration. Because if the statistics you are saying it deals with figures, what of the enumeration?
Enumeration, the conclusion may be expressed in figures, but it can also be expressed in words.
Okay.
Right? But you can, when you look at the situation, you can express the bigger picture by saying that this percentage of people are going to be like this or will not be like this. But the beginning may not necessarily be in figures. It can be in words. I am looking at Hakim Adam. I'm looking at Zoom user. I'm looking at Mehdi. I have picked about 10 people in this class to study them. It's just like how scientists do. They will take a particular medication or maybe a particular drug and give it to maybe some animals, test it on some animals, or even test it on other people, some people, and they'll say that the drug is 99% capable of dealing with this particular disease. That is based on enumeration. So maybe out of all the people they have tested it on, only one person showed something negative. The rest show something positive. And then they conclude that it has a very strong efficacy. It is 99% assured of dealing with this particular kind of problem. That is enumerative.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So if you take the statistical, for example, you will find a whole lot of figures expressing, using figures instead of words to express or to provide evidence about something. And on the basis of analyzing these figures, you draw a conclusion. And then we have causal inductive reasoning, where we try to understand situations based on causes and effects. In life, whatever happens to you, you are trying to look for the causes of it. You can see the effects. Then you try to look at what is the cause of this. Now, give me 1 minute. I will call you back. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So you are looking at the causes. But to be able to look at the causes, sometimes you connect one particular event to the other and say, this is the cause of this. It may be true, it may be false. I think I talked about fallacy of wrong cause. The last, I know, we have not done fallacies yet. It's the diploma class. That I slap Hakim Adam. Hakim falls down, collapses. And then somebody will say that the cause of Hakim falling and collapsing is the slap. So we are connecting the slap to Hakim's fall. So that the slap is the cause, the collapse, the fall and the collapse are the effects of the slap. It may be true, it may be false. It could be that my slap just coincided with the time that Hakim was about to fall and collapse. Perhaps there's a hidden sickness in Hakim. My slap just coincided. But my slap serves as a point for further investigation. That's why the police will have suspects. So maybe they come to a place to for arrest or for something, and then they see that, or maybe when you saw them start running, they are looking for a suspect, or they are looking for somebody who is alleged to have committed a certain crime. When you saw them start running, they arrest you. So they try to connect your action with what they were looking for. Or for example, Hakim is doing well in business, very nice. Like the Nzima guy said, the Nzima people, they say they have money, but he doesn't have money. Very nice, Hakim is doing really well. Hakim decided to visit his hometown, came back. I mean, when he visited the hometown, saw this young orphan lady and decided to bring her to stay with him in Accra so that he can also help this lady.
Say not money. This is my we are witch and wizard, but don't have paracetamol.
You know,
you say we have medicine. You say we have medicine. We have medicine, but don't have medicine.
You know, they have juju.
Yeah, but I don't have one. I don't have medicine.
You don't have one.
I don't have para. I don't have para. No, not
you.
or...
You roam Accra. You don't have anything. Paracetamol, Krebinu Mojem.
I don't have.
Oh, okay. So Hakim brought this young lady, to the house, and not too long, Hakim started experiencing a downturn in his business, and even the business collapsed. The money Hakim has is gone. He began to sell his properties, his cars, his house, and all that. And somebody will just say, "Oh, is it the cause of Hakim's problem is that he has gone to adopt this child. The child is a witch." In fact, I'm sure you have heard about some people who say, "Oh, I was doing well before I married you, or before I got into a relationship with you. As soon as I got into a relationship with you or married you, everything started scattering."
A lot, Doc.
It's true. It's true.
That's an inductive reasoning by cause, or causal inductive reasoning. The fact that you're doing well before you got into a relationship, as soon as you got into a relationship, things started, does not necessarily mean that the person is a cause. It could be that there are certain things that are the causes of it. The relationship just coincided with the time that your misfortune was going to happen. So, any question? Of course, when we talk about causes, medical diagnosis, they're looking for causes and all that to be able to draw a conclusion. Any question? So next
sir,
week
please,
we'll do
my question
fallacies.
is
Yes, go on.
Sir, please. Yeah. My question is, I think when I ask this question, I'm talking for the entire class. We want tips on how to study your course very well. Without your sir, please, because without your explanation, sometimes when we read through, I in particular, when I read through, I find it a bit difficult to understand. That's why I'm asking so many questions. That's why I'm asking so many questions like that, so that I can try and connect some of your examples. When I'm reading through, I'll be connecting your examples for a better understanding.
Sir, it's very true, sir.
So
We don't understand where
so if you have some conclusion and some tips
Yes,
for
sir.
us,
We don't know how to
very
learn.
we don't know how to learn your course, sir.
All right. So I just pray that I should be the one to teach you income skills next month, next semester. There's an aspect about how to study. Some of you, the problem is you don't know how to study. You know how to read. There's a difference between reading a material and studying a material. Reading a material involves you focusing your interest, your time on the entire material, including the stuff in it. So you are not doing selective understanding, but studying a selective understanding of the key things in a particular material. So if you take one page, if you try to read, you read the entire thing, you scan your eyes or fix your gaze, you fix your mind on the whole one page, all the sentences, the paragraphs on that one page. But when you close it, it is gone. That is what reading gives does to you. But if you study, you are not looking for everything on that particular page. You are only selecting the most important thing to make them an integral part of you. That even when you sleep and they wake you up, you are able to understand it. Studying is picking the most important thing for you to understand, for you to be able to express them in your own words. Anything that you read and understand, and you are able to express it in your own words, it stays with you for long, even years. That's why when you do chew and pour, you just pour everything, and then even after 1 month or 1 week, you have forgotten it.
Yes.
As we speak, me, one verse in the Bible, I can't chew. I would rather paraphrase it. I would rather understand it and put it in my own words to paraphrase. If you ask me to quote verbatim, word for word, I can't. So in fact, the ComSkills should have come to help you to know how to study. In fact, previously we used to have a course, and the title of the course is Study Skills. I don't know why they've changed it to ComSkills. And we're focusing on how to teach students to study. You know, this Gen Z, they don't want something, they want to be spoon-fed. So they don't study. Oh, what are the things? Tell us, and we'll go and write and pass. So you need to focus your attention. Studying involves undivided attention to the issue under consideration. And most importantly, it makes selective search, understanding of the key points. You can have a whole passage, a whole page. About 30% of it is most important. The rest, just trying to break it down for you to understand. Only 30%. Pick the top, the points. When you're studying, just pick the points. Try to understand them in your own words. That's all. All right. So I'll see you next week.
All right.
And the next 2 weeks, we'll meet for our last face-to-face, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir.
You.
Run away good.
Okay, so they say do selective learning and reading. You understand critical thinking.
Selective learning and reading. What are you going to select? Where are you selecting from?
That's
the question. That's the question. Where are you selecting from?
How can you just select what you like?
I
How do
knew
you
that
know what
question was
is
in
going to take
everyone's
up
mind.
the question?
I knew
You can't just go
everyone
ahead
had
and
that
take what you
question in
like
their
and learn.
mind. Yes,
Select
but
the
nobody
keywords.
was.
You are being
Huh?
recorded. You are being recorded. You are being recorded.
The lecturer is somewhere selecting his questions, and you are here thinking about which ones to pick.
Oh, Charlie, more. You are being recorded, please.
Critical thinking, they're high.
Charlie, that one they're more than you. You are being recorded.